What's up guys, TopTierYugioh here, and today I got first place at the OTS Championships with ABC, and I want to give you guys a quick deck profile and tournament report and just show you how show you what I played and tell you how the event went. So this is a quick look at what I won. I got the mat. It's just like the regional map, except it says OTS Tournament Store Champion. It's like literally the exact same as the regional one, except slightly different. But it's still pretty cool. It's still pretty nice to have. But let's go ahead and get into the actual profile. So like I said, I played ABC, so let's go ahead and get into the deck. I did make a couple of changes from ARG Raleigh, so I did want to share those with you guys. Alright, so for the monsters, I had 2 A's, 3 B's, and 2 C's. I wanted to play more B's than anything else because B's help unbrick your hands versus A and C, which don't help unbrick your hands. So that's why I played more B's than anything else, but I often sided out the third B. For the extenders, I played 4 gadgets, 2 Gofus, and 2 guitars. Gofu was probably the MVP today because I was able to make Decode Talker before making many of my other plays, which allowed me to negate a lot of targeting effects, such as the Pendulum Trap and just other stuff that targeted really. For the engine requirements, I played 1 Garnet, 1 Lazuli. I didn't have the second Garnet today, but that was okay, and I did actually get to use Lazuli's effect a couple of times. 1 Symphonic Warrior Mics and 1 Trick Clown, and then I played 3 Hand Traps. I played 1 Max C and 2 Ghost Ogres. For the spell cards, I played 3 Union Hangers, 3 Terraformings, 3 Brilliance, 3 Pot of Desires, 3 Cosmic Cyclones, and 1 Soul Charge. I like playing a lot of 3-ups because it made the deck feel very consistent. I didn't have very much variance in my hands, and so I felt that I could really do the same thing in the majority of games, which I really liked. Hanger and Terraforming are obviously necessary, but I felt that I didn't need to play 3 Desires or 3 Cyclones, but I felt it was very important for the Desires to give me advantage. And I felt that the Cyclone answers a lot of the threats in this format because you can answer 2 Draco cards like a trap. It gives you a way to stop Diagram, and then against Pendulums, you're able to stop the Pendulum Trap. You can get rid of their other traps as well if they happen to set those. You're getting scales without triggering Astrograph or Star Pendulum Graph. Or wait, Star Pendulum Graph might be when it leaves the field. I'm not sure. Double check for that, but you're definitely stopping a lot of things in that matchup as well. Even though Twin Twisters means you can discard your pieces and stuff, I don't think that's actually that relevant. I think you'd rather just have the card advantage. So I was a big fan of Cosmic Cyclone over Twin Twisters today. And the only one I played was Soul Charge because it is just that strong. Like, I just couldn't not play it. It's just too strong. I didn't draw it at all, but it's just good to have in the deck. So then for the trap cards, I only played 4. I played 1 Imperial Order and 3 Dimensional Barriers. I was actually very torn about playing the Imperial Order. I wasn't sure if I should play that or a Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is a pretty good extender. If you have that in Hanger, it's going to get you a Buster Dragon. But the problem with Foolish is it never quite like wins you the games. Like, it can make some cool plays, but usually you're already winning and you don't really need it. However, Imperial Order can help get you there when you don't have game. Or it can just like put you in situations to where you just like win. It's just like sort of an auto win depending on your opponent's hand. And so I really like that a lot. And I did one really spicy play with this in the finals that I'll tell you about in the tournament report. So I was very happy with this trap lineup. I think Barrier is really good this format. You're stopping Pendulums, which is the most important. But then you're also stopping like Paleo. It's pretty decent again. You're stopping ABCs. It's just really good in every single matchup except for True Dracos. And in True Dracos, you can just, well, you know, side it out, but it's fine. I'll take a worse True Draco matchup for a better Pendulum matchup and better like Rogue matchup any day. So I was pretty happy with this trap lineup for sure. And now, even though it's only 4 traps, I still feel very comfortable ending boards because I have other defensive cards. So if you remember, I still have the Cosmic Cyclones and the Hand Trap, so they all sort of count defensively. So in deck building this, I kind of counted them all as defense cards. So even though there's only 4 real traps, there's still 10 defense cards. So this deck can still make like Decode, Buster, and defense. And the cool thing about Cyclone especially is that it doesn't always be it's not always a defensive card, but you can also count it as a card that breaks opponents' boards. It's like a breaker card, and so that's also really cool. So I like the versatility of this lineup of defensive cards and the breaker card. For the extra deck, let's start with the 3 Buster Dragons and the 1 Seraph Knight. Those go without saying. For the Link monsters, we have 1 Firewall Dragon, 2 Decode Talkers, and 2 Proxy. Same as in Raleigh, but this time Firewall Dragon came up a lot more, and I got to use the effect a few times as well, both defensively and offensively. And I'll talk more about that later. And then for the Xyz monsters, we have 1 Tsukuyomi, 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Direwolf, 1 Gigant, 1 Castel, and 1 Dweller. I didn't go into Castel or Dweller in this event. And I didn't go into Dweller in the last one either, so that might get cut, but I'm not sure what I would even put in its place, so it'll probably stay. Definitely these four were the MVPs. Tsukiyomi, Tornado, Direwolf, and Gear Gigant come up a lot. Especially Direwolf. I can maybe play a second Direwolf, possibly. So if I were to take the Dweller route, it would definitely go in for a second Direwolf, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll have to think more about that. It'll probably stay the same. And then the only other thing are these 2 Gofu tokens. And yeah. For the side deck, let's start with 2 Effect Veilers, 2 Kaijus, and 2 Cherries. So the Veilers I sided in against Pendulums because I realized that the scariest things in that matchup aside from the trap are a lot of their extra deck monsters, so I wanted to be able to negate the Supreme King Synchro, the Fusion. The Fusion's actually really scary because they can just like, they can take the effect of your Buster Dragon once you tag out and then banish one of your pieces, so then you're missing a piece, since it's really hard to get back into the game sometimes. Or, yeah, like I said, the Synchro, you can stop a Dweller if they want to, like, Dweller and then, like, Raigeki or try to get over your board. There's just a lot of things in that deck you can stop. The extra deck is the scariest thing aside from the traps, and so this, plus the Cosmic Cyclones, gives you answers to both. The Kaijus are mainly for True Dracos in the Mirror Match. In the Mirror Match, sometimes they won't tag out, and you can kind of, you know, get them with that. Cherries was for the Mirror Match in any deck that played anything in my extra deck, I guess. And so the cool thing about playing Firewall is if I played, like, World Chalice or Infernity or something, I could banish their Firewall. So the Cherries is really good. I bumped it down from 3 at the last event because I didn't want to draw multiples, and I usually didn't want to see multiples in a game either. And so I felt that 2 was probably the correct number. For the spells, I played 3 System Down and 2 Magnet Reverse. In the future, I might even cut System Down to 2 as well because both System Down and Cherries are good in ABCs, or against ABCs. But I don't need 5 and 6 cards against ABCs, like 4 would be fine. So 2 System Down, 2 Cherries would be probably better. And then more cards for more prevalent decks. And then 2 Magnet Reverses. I sided them in a few times, and I resolved it a couple times as well. Like, I remember there was a game to where, what happened? I had a Buster Dragon and, like, something else. And my opponent tried to target something, and I attributed Buster Dragon with Decode, and then brought Buster Dragon back. And then banished something, and then tagged out. It was pretty cool. And then the only traps were 3 Chaos Trap holes and 1 anti-spell. And so I know this seems really weird, but the reasoning behind this is that I only had 1 anti-spell for one thing, and I could have had more maybe, but I really want to play Chaos Trap hole because it's much more versatile. And so before, this was 3 anti-spells, and that would pretty much go in against True Dracos, it would go in against the Mirror, and it would go in against Pendulums. And now I felt that Chaos Trap Hole actually does the exact same thing. It's really good going first against all of those, except it has a slightly different function to where, like, it's a counter trap, and that's actually huge because you can negate Pendulum summons, you can negate normal summons, you can negate a Buster summon. Whereas anti-spell, you're only stopping the spells, and you're not really losing to the spells in those decks. You're losing to the monsters. Like, you're losing to Masterpiece, you're losing to Buster, you're losing to, like, a Pendulum summon. So I felt that this actually stops what you lost to. And also I felt that anti-spell is just really easy to out right now. Like, Purple Poison is a good card, and it's a 3 of. The Trap is a really good card as well, and everyone's going to be siding in, like, Cosmic Cyclones too. So anti-spell is, like, more likely to not work. Versus the Chaos Trap Hole, you can usually get them at a really good time with it, so I liked it a lot. And there was actually one game against Pendulums where I had anti-spell and Chaos Trap Hole, and the guy tries to normal summon our Purple Poison to crash with my C, because for some reason they both have 1200 attack, which, you know, sucks. But I was able to Chaos Trap Hole and negate the summon of the Purple Poison and then banish it, which was huge. And so I really like Chaos Trap Hole, so I'll definitely be keeping that in. I think it's actually really good in this format. So let's move on to the tournament report. Alright, so for the tournament report, it was 4 rounds of Swiss and then top 4, so 6 rounds total. I went 3-1 in Swiss and then 1 in top 4, and then in the final, so overall I went 5-1. So, you know, it was kind of small, but, like, it's a decent number of rounds. Like, 5-1 it's, like, pretty respectable, so I'll take it. And round 1, I went against Pendulums. I won the die roll, but I'm not able to make Buster Dragon or Decode. I opened up Hanger, and then I opened up a Barrier. And so I could really just sort of save myself for a turn, and then he couldn't kill me, but he had a couple of back row that I was really scared of. I really want to play around the trap, and one thing that I realized in that matchup in that game is that the trap is actually very, very scary, and the worst time for them, or I should say the best time for them to use it, is actually not on, like, any of your extenders, but on your Buster Dragon. And so like when you make Buster Dragon and say you try to use the effect to clear something on their board, they chain the trap and destroy your Buster Dragon, and then on their next turn, if you can't kill them, then like you're not gonna be able to you're not gonna be able to disrupt them on their turn. You're not gonna be able to tag out again, and it really disrupts the cycle. And I was very afraid of that. So when I was finally able to make Buster Dragon, I had to play around that, and that made it very difficult. Although he didn't even have it, but it was a pretty good matchup. And then game 2, he actually bricked, so that sucks. I mean, I play like 4 bricks, and I didn't brick, but he drew like unplayable, which sucks. He was a good friend of mine as well, which definitely sucks. Round 2, I think, yeah, round 2, I played against Demise True Draco, and he ended up getting, he lost in top 4, so he got his invite and everything too, so that was cool. But we played, and I go first, and I open up broken. Like I opened up like Hanger, Brilliant, Desires, Maxi, which didn't really hurt him, but I didn't know he was playing that at the time. And then I had, I think, a Gadget. And so my ending board was, it was Decode, Proxy, Buster Dragon, and something else. It was like a trap or something. I want to say like a Cosmic Cyclone. Like, I opened up very, very strong. And so he pretty much couldn't play on his turn, but he ended his turn with like a Monarch's Erupt, and I tagged out. And so I couldn't get over his monster, and then I couldn't destroy it by battle either, and I couldn't make like a Buster Dragon and like banish it because the effects were negated. And I knew he had an Apocalypse set, so I knew I couldn't attack over it like anything. And so I just couldn't break his board, and eventually he was able to outgrind me through the Monarch's Erupt because I just couldn't, like, I didn't have any monster effects, and because of Apocalypse, I can't destroy anything by battle. And so that actually made it very, very difficult to win. Then game 2, I sided out the barriers. I sided out the Max C. Then I sided in the Chaos Trap Holes and the Anti-Spell going first. And then I drew the Chaos Trap Hole, the Anti-Spell, and then I also made Decode Buster. And so that game ended very quickly. And then game 3, I opened up a Brilliant Fusion. And, man, what happened to that Brilliant Fusion? Wait, yeah, I was going seconds. Oh, yeah, I tried to... He bricked too. But I activated Brilliant Fusion. He had his own Cyclone, so he banished my Brilliant Fusion. So all I had was like a Desires and like some pieces in hand. So then I Desired, and then I banished all my my Gem Knight cards, and then I drew a second Brilliant, and then I drew Desires again. And so that sucked. Now it's pretty much just like setting A, B, and C and passing. And he had Diagram. He was able to just build his board, and then eventually be able to kill me. But it actually got to a point where I could have won, to where he had a Majesty Maiden, and just like nothing else, like no cards in hand, nothing on the field, just Majesty Maiden, and I forgot what else he had. Yeah, just Majesty Maiden. And then I had a set Chaos Trap Hole and like a set like ABC piece. Doesn't really matter what it was, but pretty much he couldn't like beat down my board. And so what I had done actually was I didn't want him to like be able to trigger anything, but I needed him to misplay to win pretty much. And so I Desired again. I was almost running out of cards in the deck, and I had like a bunch of dead Brilliant Fusions too, which sucked. And so I Desires again just so he can trigger his Maiden. Like I knew there was nothing I could draw into to get me out of the situation because everything was banished. But I Desires again to force him to not force him, but to allow him to search with the Maiden. And if he searches a Masterpiece, when he summons the Masterpiece, I can Chaos Trap Hole it and then get back into the game. However, he searches an Ignis instead for some reason, and then he proceeds to beat me down with Majesty Maiden and Ignis. And it's so funny because afterwards he's like, "Man, I thought you were gonna break my board. If you did, I would have searched a Masterpiece. Man, I definitely misplayed." And I'm just like, dude, Chaos Trap Hole, man. So if he had searched Masterpiece, I probably would have got back in the game and won. But instead, he ended up beating me down. The next round, I played against Lightsworn. And this was actually, this was a crazy round. So I won the die roll and I go first. I open up really, really strong. Like this time I actually do open like Hanger, Brilliant, and like Hanger, Brilliant, Gofu, Gadget, and what was the 5th card? Barrier. Yeah, it was like literally the best 5-card hand you can probably draw. And so I ended my field on like Decode, Proxy, Buster, and Tsukuyomi. And then what happens, like, I kid you not, he plays a bunch of draw cards like Desires, Allure, Charger Light Brigade, Solar Recharge. He gets all these cards. I end up barriering him for fusion when he makes a Minerva. And so at that point, I'm thinking like, oh man, I'm going to win this game. Like, how do I lose at this point? Like, my field is amazing. He's not doing anything. And I also had to banish something with the I think I banished like a snow or something like that. So again, I'm like in a situation to where I feel like I just can't lose the game. And then he summons a BLS, right? And he attacks into my Decode Talker and plays 2 Honest. And so at that point, the like I think I ended up taking like over 7,000 damage, because then it could attack again directly. So I took like 4,000 from the initial battle and then 7,000 afterwards, which means I just lost immediately. And then in game 2, game 2 was ridiculous because again I opened up insane, like Brilliant Fusion, Union Hanger, just like literally like I couldn't even imagine drawing better. And so I ended on a Proxy Dragon. Didn't have Decode this time. So I had Proxy Dragon, Firewall. I wanted this so I had extra disruption now that I knew what he was playing. Then I had Tsukuyomi here and Buster Dragon in the extra monster zone. And so I had, yeah, this is my board. And then he draws and plays a Raigeki so fast. And I had to sit here and like contemplate my life, because I realized that I can't tag out the Buster because I only have 2 zones in my main monster zone. And so I'm like, wait, standby phase? You didn't declare your phases. And so then I have to use the Firewall's effect to return itself to the extra deck, so that I have 3 zones. So then afterwards I can tag out the Buster Dragon, and then I also had a Hanger. So then I tag out, the C gets the effect, I summon something, Hanger. So you can't kill me, and then the next turn I just make like Decode, Double Buster, and OTK him. So that kind of scummy, but it was worth it. And then in the third one, I just don't think he opened that well. Like I remember I had Hanger and a bunch of extenders. He went first and he just ended on like a Denko. It was an extra deck monster. I don't remember what it was, but it didn't have a quick effect, so it didn't matter. And then I just beat over his field, made a Buster Dragon, and he couldn't play around the Buster Dragon. Then after that, I played Pendulum. I win the die roll, and then I ended with Decode, Buster, and Order. And so he just couldn't play. And so eventually, I took a couple damage from the turns and Imperial Order, but 2 or 3 turns later, I was able to OTK. So that was pretty easy. Game 2, he actually lets me go first, which is probably a mistake, but because I decided incorrectly, I actually kept in a lot of the trap holes and the anti-spell. And so I go first, and I open Chaos Trap Hole, Anti-Spell, Hanger, Gadget. And so I'm able to make Decode, Buster, set Anti-Spell, and Chaos Trap Hole. And so then on his next turn, he tries to summon a Purple Poison. I'm able to Chaos Trap Hole and banish it. So he can't out the Anti-Spell, he has nothing else. And that makes for an easy OTK. Alright, so that was the end of Swiss. And so after that, I was 3-1. And so then I made it in the top 4. There were 3 3-1s and 1 undefeated. And so I was the lowest seed actually. And so I played the number 1 seed who was undefeated. And so it was actually one of my friends, Clay. So it was great that he got his invite, so shout outs to him. But I won the die roll and I opened probably the best possible hand against his deck. I ended up having a Barrier, a Pot of Desires, Hanger, Cyclone, and I forgot which extender it was, but it was some extender. So I ended up on a Decode, a Buster Dragon, and then I had a Barrier, Desires. I desired into a second Barrier, and then like a second copy of Hanger. So like on my next turn, I just had plays like guaranteed. And so he just couldn't play through the Barrier, through the Cyclone, through the Decode, the Buster. It was just way too much. And so I was able to end that game pretty quickly. And then game 2, he goes first, but he actually doesn't open very well. Like he's not able to Pendulum Summon, but he just sets a bunch of back row. And so I just sort of had to navigate my way through the back row. So I luckily had Hanger, so I was able to just like normal summon A equip C. So C is unaffected by traps, and that's already just like 2 of the pieces, and I had a B in my hand. And so I had that going for me. And then let's see, something else happened. I remember I got Chaos Trap Hold on one of my pieces. He had a Strike, the Pendulum Trap, of course. And there's another trap, a Barrier. It was a Barrier. And he had Max C too. So like he had like no actual Magician cards or Pendulum cards, but he had everything to stop me. And so after he was done like stopping me from playing, I finally drew enough cards to be able to play the game. And once I was able to play, he couldn't because he drew too many sided cards, and so I was able to win that game. And then the final round was against ABC True Dracos, or Draco ABC, or whatever you want to call it. It was the deck that Calvin Tahan played, pretty much. And I was actually really nervous because I saw this guy playing all day. And I really wanted to play this deck going into the event. Like, I wanted to try the Draco ABC deck because I was like, man, like, I guess ABCs aren't topping anywhere, but this Draco ABC deck is, so maybe it's good. And so I tested it out, and I just found that it wasn't very powerful because I didn't think Diagram was a very good extender. While yes, it does extend your plays, it like Diagram plus Hanger isn't Buster Drake. I'm sorry, isn't Buster Decode Talker. And so I was like, what are you doing with the deck? Like, and so I really came to the conclusion that either one, it's a 2-turn deck, sort of like Paleo Tour. You're not making your board turn 1, but you're surviving your opponent's turn and then making your big play. So that's either true, it's either inconsistent, not good, or I don't know what I'm doing. And so if any of those are true, or if all of them are true, I don't want to play that deck. And so I ultimately at the last moment chose not to play it, but I was very interested to see what he was doing with it. And so to see him get into the finals with it, you know, I'm still unsure. I'm like, man, maybe I should look into this deck again, but I don't know if I just didn't know what I was doing, but I just didn't feel that plays were that strong. Like, I'm trying to go first and like end on Firewall, Proxy, Decode, Buster. I'm not trying to go first and, you know, set True Draco's trap, hope I have a masterpiece, tribute my A, and then make Buster on my second turn. I want to make it immediately. And so that's, yeah, I was really nervous going into that matchup. But he wins the die roll, and he plays a Hanger, searches a piece, and then he summons a gadget. I max C the gadget, and then when he summons the piece, he tries to use Hanger. I Ghost Ogre the Hanger. Then he diagrams. I'm like, man, I wish I held the Ghost Ogre, but okay. And so he ends up getting the True Draco Trap. I'm assuming he has like a masterpiece in hand. And so on my turn, I try to play, so I special summon Gofu. He max C's me, and I'm like, ooh, now that hurts a lot. Like, maxing a gadget doesn't hurt bad because then you end up with 2 floaters. Maxing Gofu sucks because you end up with nothing and nothing floats. And so I just like did that. I set a B, and then I set Cosmic Cyclone and a Dimensional Barrier. And so on his turn, what happens was he tries to activate the diagram, and I chain Imperial Order, chain link 1. So it's chain link 2. So it's chain link 1 diagram, chain link 2 Imperial Order, chain link 3 Cyclone targeting his back row that I knew was Apocalypse. So now he doesn't have the trap. And so I'm able to get rid of the trap. The diagram's negated, and he's really not extending his plays anymore. And so at this point, like, there just wasn't much that he could do outside of just like beat over my board. So he attacked the Gofu and the tokens. So then on my next turn, I'm able to normal summon another ABC piece, make a rank 4, and like bait one of his disruption plays. And then I'm able to summon my Buster Dragon and just sort of beat him down. Then once I tag out, I get all the effects back, make more rank 4s in the next turn. It's just sort of steamrolled from there. And so that was a tough game getting through the back row at first and the max C, but I was able to get it done, especially with the help of Imperial Order. Imperial Order definitely won that game. And then game 2, he goes first, of course, and I'm able to cherries him, but then he just ends up playing like a True Draco deck afterwards. And so he ends up with a Masterpiece beatdown, just playing 2 Masterpieces, one with Traps Monsters, one with Spells Monsters. He's just like attack. I'm setting B's and C's. I opened up a bunch of just ABC pieces, which was, you know, traditionally bad, but it was good in this situation because I'm able to just like set C. He's like, okay, attack. Special summon another C. Attack. Special summon a B. Search. Next turn set A. A get back C. Next turn set C. And like just keep like looping them pretty much. And so he couldn't kill me very easily. And then eventually I'm able to just like bait him into using his masterpiece effects. So like I activated a Hanger. I thought he was gonna negate it or destroy it, but he didn't. Activate Brilliant. He does destroy that. But then eventually I make a Tsukuyomi, and he does destroy the Tsukuyomi. And at that point, like, if he had left Tsukuyomi in my extra monster zone, like, sure, I draw 2 cards and you don't get to kill me because you have to attack over it. But when he destroyed it, like, it meant that my extra monster zone was free. He had no more ammo for Masterpiece, and I could summon Buster. So that's exactly what I did. I summoned Buster, banished the diagram, so both of the Masterpieces were 2950. Buster's at 3000, so he couldn't get over Buster. He drew another diagram, which I just banished immediately, so he can't attack over the Master. I'm sorry, he can't attack over it. And then in his end phase, I just tag out, make some rank 4s to get some advantage. So I'm able to make like Tsukuyomi draw some cards. Or, I'm sorry, Decode Talker, then Tsukuyomi to draw some cards, and then 2 more Buster Dragons, so I could attack over both masterpieces, attack with the Decode Talker, and then attack with like the Tsukuyomi, which did a lot of damage. Oh, and I made a Proxy Dragon too. So it was like Decode, Proxy, Double Buster after the Tsukuyomi. Yeah. And so pretty much I was able to attack over both his masterpieces. He already didn't have any decodes himself. I'm sorry, any Buster Dragons himself because of cherries. And so I pretty much won the game at that point. And so even though I didn't open very well, because I opened a bunch of ABC pieces, I was able to float. And then eventually I was able to grind him out thanks due to the cherries. So that was the final round. So I ended up 2-0ing him. Now that I think about it, I don't think I lost that many games like all day. I think I lost, let's see, I 2-0'd in the finals. I 2-0'd my opponent in top 4. I 2-0'd the final round. I lost that one match. I lost the game to Light Sworn. Let's see, and I 2-0'd the other Pendulum player. So I think I only lost like those 2 or 3 games all day. So pretty good day overall. I still think ABC is a very strong choice. It's not like the best deck of the format. It's not like Pendulums. It's not True Dracos. But I feel that's very strong. Like, you have a very strong monster and Buster Dragon. Decode Talker is very underrated this format in that like everything targets. Like, you're stopping the like Masterpiece can't get over this when it's big. It can attack over Masterpiece. You're stopping the Pendulum Trap. It's just in general hard to play around. And so this deck I think has a very high ceiling. It has some very good cards in it. And so I really like it a lot more than True Dracos because I'm never playing that deck probably. And I like it. I mean, Pendulum's fun, don't get me wrong, but I think Pendulums loses to a lot of cards. And so I hate how you just lose to like Barrier or Anti-Spell. I just really hate that. And of course this deck also loses to like Cherries and to where is it? System Down. So this deck loses to a lot of things too, but between the 2 decks, I think Buster Dragon has the best monster. So I do like this deck a lot for the format. So that has been my deck profile and tournament report for the OTS Championship, where I got this beautiful mat that you cannot even see under all of these cards. But if you watched this far, thank you for watching. Leave a hashtag in the comment section if you did watch this far. Put hashtag what's a good hashtag? I don't know. Hashtag tag out, because you know Buster Dragon tags out, and that's the beginning of the end. So if you watch this far into the video, put hashtag tag out. I'd really appreciate if you do that. If you do that, you are awesome. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I am going to be uploading more ABC combos, of course. Like, I'm uploading one later tonight, tomorrow. Then I'm going to upload the rest of the ABC combos in the next couple of days, because this first combo video has, I think, 4 combos. I have a list of like 15, 16 combos, so I have a lot of different variations on a lot of them as well. And so I have a lot more content coming for you guys for ABCs. So I hope you're excited to see that. If not, let me know what you would like to see, and I'll try my best to bring it to you. And so, as always, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.